But in communication, people don't actually care about your grammar. Yeah, grammar is really critical, it's really important. But connection, how you connect to people, being open, being vulnerable, is much more important than just, you know, worrying to yourself.
When I was trying my best to practice my English, especially in real life, some people judge me as an arrogant person.
Welcome to English In, the English learning channel that is dedicated to taking you beyond the classroom and immersing you in the vivid tapestry of real English usage. At English In, we firmly believe that learning English with fun and natural is the key to building confidence and acquiring language skills faster. So, without further ado, let's dive into English and
Explore the world.
all right, I'm Jez, your host. Joined here in the virtual studio with the one, the only Fatma. How is it going, Fatma?
Life here is pretty good and a bit hectic, but that's life. Let's enjoy it. How about life going on there?
Fantastic, really fantastic. Our previous episode, we talked about how we get into English, but it was just the tip of the iceberg, which I believe there are a lot that we didn't cover yet. That is why today we're going to delve deeper and how we get into English, and you know, hopefully, there's something valuable that you guys can take. So make
Yeah.
sure to stick around until the end.
Yep.
Anyway,
Yes.
what and who inspired you to learn English?
What and who? Well, for the very first time, to be honest, I have no inspiration and I have no certain motivation why I should learn English, because learning English was compulsory for me. Yeah, that's I guess I don't at the starting point I don't have any inspiration and motivation why I should learn English. But time goes by, time went by. Yeah, I found out that learning English is useful in real life, especially in real life, especially in today's life. What about you? Do you have certain inspiration or motivation why did you learn English?
Well, that's not actually. It's completely, yeah. I think almost the same as you. I don't have any inspiration in the beginning. It was more like taking revenge of myself because,
Oh,
as I
taking
said in my
revenge. Wait,
previous,
hold on. What revenge is?
yeah, I hated English so much at the beginning. Do you believe that? I hated
Okay.
English so much
Uh huh.
because it's really difficult, and I didn't see myself in the future speaking this language.
Okay.
Um, that is why I didn't really put any interest
I
learning
see.
English.
I
Once
see.
I went to senior high school, it's a short
Mm-hmm.
story, a little bit, Fatma. So I went to senior high school and then I learned English, which I didn't expect that I would learn this language ever again, actually.
Okay. Oh, all
uh,
right.
yeah, and then what happened was that when my English teacher assigned all students to perform homework, and then she said, like, for those of you who could not perform the homework would not be allowed to join the class
Oh,
the
I
next day.
see. I
I was
see.
completely out blank at the time.
I see. So your experience was actually totally different with mine. I got a very what's that inspiring teacher, patient teacher, and motivating teacher. But differently, you had a teacher that discouraging. I mean, not discouraging. I believe that he didn't mean to discourage you, but you felt that intimidated by your teacher. Am I right? Yeah, maybe my experience and also your experience can happen to our viewer here. So some of them might experience a good thing at the first time learning English, and some of them might experience bad things. So can I say that the very first time learning English, teacher play role important role?
I
I
think
mean,
teacher really plays an important role at the beginning of your English learning. In my case, in my story, when I was in senior high school, I didn't mean that my English teacher did that way to quote unquote to punish. No, but it's more like to get us to being disciplined. I think that's what I
Oh,
get.
I see.
Yep,
Okay. He meant to make you tough, right? Okay.
exactly.
So by taking revenge, so it shaped you as fluent as today. Can you tell us your journey? How come from what's that? The one who hate English and then become that fluent now in today.
Oh, I'm not that fluent actually. So once my English teacher really kicked me out of the classroom just because I didn't do the homework,
Seriously. All right.
I I feel like I committed to myself that I would do whatever it takes to to really master this. So it's not I wasn't angry. I was angry, but in positive way. It feels like I wanted to master. I would have to do whatever it takes to speak this language. And by the day after day, I try to learn from the very basics, and then finally in my second year of senior high school, at least I could keep up with my friends in the class. So that is probably the journey how I finally love English. What about
You
you? Do you have
such
any
a
interesting
warrior.
story? Yep.
About inspiration, yeah, as I
Yeah.
told you that in the previous session, that yeah, the one that motivated and encouraged me to learn English was my teacher in junior high school. Yeah, because of her, what's that? I started to learn English because she told me that learning English would be very important in your future and so on. And it happened to be true. And today I found out that learning English has a lot of benefit.
Yeah.
So you say that at the first grade, you didn't like English, but at the second grade, you start to love English, to love learning English. So is that your milestone in learning English?
Probably it's yeah, one of the milestones because
Okay.
since what is it, right after I graduated from senior high school, I went to university and take English education department. But there is a time where I feel mentally anguishing or mentally exhausting for learning English.
Anguishing?
When
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, it's
Anguishing
kind of
is the same with exhausting.
yeah,
Am I
but
right?
it's more like mentally
Okay.
exactly. And then
Okay.
I would love I would what is it I felt kind of I would give up and surrender
Okay.
because I got nothing from English. I was kind of stuck in intermediate plateau, right? I think that's a kind of terminology, common terminology in language learning acquisition, where
Okay.
I could not make any progress completely as how I did in my early period of learning English.
So, what was your interesting or easiest method to learn English?
Well, I think we can discuss this, right? Everyone has their
Okay.
own what is it method and preference. It can be personal preference, but there's no such specific method to learn English.
Yeah.
But for
Agree.
me,
Agree.
listening really comes first. Listening to
Yeah.
any
Exactly.
understandable English, or you may listen to podcasts, or you may even listen
Yep.
to like basics or very basics materials listening. I think it's really great because if you want to be a good English speaker, then you have to be a good listener. That's my
Oh, yeah.
yeah, that's what I believe in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Agree.
what about
Agree.
you?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess for me, the most entertaining and easiest way to learn English is that, yeah, in addition to classroom setting, is that by listening to a song and watching movie. Why? Because these two resources are cheap and easier to get, especially in today's life, right? And the second one, this media provide us not only spoken English but also written English. So by listening to a song and watching to movie, we can learn how the word is pronounced and written, and how certain messages are expressed in certain way. And above this, I guess practice make perfect. So therefore, when the first time you elicit your idea to make this project, to be honest, I doubted myself, but at the same time, I think it's going to be a good chance for me to practice my English. So thank you for this brilliant project.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Talking about milestone, you
Yes,
got your milestone when you were in junior high school, but for
in
me,
senior
I
high
guess
school.
I started learning English from junior high school to senior high school, but I still could not find what's that? What's exactly what for I learned English, but I guess my milestone was when I enrolled in university,
Mm-hmm.
especially when I was a freshman. I still remember one of my junior at the time, sorry, my senior at the time, requested me to participate in one of contests. It was speech contest, if I'm not mistaken, and I couldn't believe that I made it and I won the third place. And I think it was my starting,
Congratulations.
and I think it was my turning point. Since then, I started to be active, participate in any competition, just like in storytelling and news reading contest. But to be honest, when it came into a classroom learning setting, I felt unconfident again. I doubt myself again. Why? Because I found out that my friends were more advanced than me, I guess, at that time. But it didn't stop me. I kept learning, learning, and learning.
Well, that's
All right.
awesome. That's awesome. I think you've done a great job in your when you were in the university level, but I did not. I
Thank
didn't make
you.
any of that kind of great job actually when I was in university level. I didn't really expose myself to English. That is why I said before.
Oh,
I told
seriously?
you, yeah,
Okay.
I told you
Mm-hmm.
that I would give up and surrender because I I didn't make any progress. Even in my third semester of my university, in my university level, I wanted to move to another department just because I feel like, okay, yeah, I got
Seriously?
nothing from
Okay.
English. I think
Okay.
it's enough. I'm done. But
Okay. But you survived.
I survived finally.
Okay. What made you survive?
Yeah, that's very interesting. One day, I what is it? I listen. It's a kind of serendipitous. It's kind of coincidence. I listen to what is it? English podcasts and about intermediate plateau. English learners who are actually stuck in intermediate plateau, they are on the right track to get advanced. I'm not saying that I'm in advance now, but at least I make it through all of obstacles and problems I faced by feeling what is it by feeling surrender or giving up on my English. I become motivated. I was kind of reborn at that time, and then finally, okay, I got this. I immerse much deeper to English. I listen to almost English movies. I'm become interested in animated movie series, just like you. Probably you were watching a lot of number of TVs, and like me, I was really interested in at that day American animated movie series. It was Avatar: The Legend of Aang or Avatar: The Legend of Korra. So I was a kind of big fan,
Oh,
and then I
you
began to
have a
love
lot of
English.
references. Okay. All right, that's quite interesting. Okay, I hope this inspires others, the one who gets stuck learning English and you don't believe in yourself. I think my experience and just experience can motivate you to keep learning, to keep up with learning English. Don't stop learning English. All right. So you previously mentioned that the very basic way to learn English, especially speaking, right? Listen a lot. Yeah, I agree with you that learning English just like keep healthy diet. We need to eat and we need to exercise. It here means we need to listen a lot and read a lot, and of course practice what we listen and what we read that we already read.
Yes, most definitely.
Yep.
Because in addition to that, like language or speaking in this case, or is a skill. If you compare skill, like speaking skill, to football, like what is it? Football, playing
Mm-hmm.
football skills. Now, one of the best football player in the world, like Lionel Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo,
Mm-hmm.
they are
Mm-hmm.
practicing every single time because if they don't
Yeah.
practice, they will lose their ability because it's a skill. It's a skill. So
Uh,
speaking
yep.
is also a skill. Sometimes we need to practice our mouth muscle, in order to get adapted to English
Yeah,
words, something like that, right? Which is
exactly.
completely different from our native language. So you need to practice.
Okay.
We all need to practice.
Okay, hold on, hold on.
Yeah.
Talking about practice, well, yeah, I agree that practice makes perfect, but the challenge, especially the challenge that I had
Mm.
when I was trying my best to practice my English, especially in real life, some people in my environment judge me as an arrogant person. Do you have the same experience? If you don't have, do you have any suggestion how to face this kind of person? Yeah, sometimes we try our best to speak English, and I also encourage my students to speak English. But the problem is that, yeah, people will what's that? Will judge me as an arrogant person. Yeah, in Japanese they say as Inggris. How to deal with this kind of people?
Yeah, I think everyone, learners of English, if you're really committed to learn to practice, you face that challenge or even that kind of judgment, which is actually unfair, right? But yeah, I had that situation. I had that experience where people or student, friends around me, they tend to judge, right? And ever since, it can be mentally, what is it? It can be not good actually mentally. But how I deal with that, I try to create my own English club. So I try to create, or invite my friends who are really interested in English to learn together. We went from, maybe it can be or 3 or 4 students. We spend like an hour and learn together, learn the English expressions. Yeah. What about you? How?
Yeah, yeah. I think we need to find somebody or some people who have the same energy with us to learn English. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I understand. Maybe if we go to market and then we speak English with our partner, it's quite, especially when our partner is not native English,
Yeah.
it's quite strange. Yeah, yeah. I agree. Yeah, yeah. Good idea. I guess I need to try this. So I need to find out the one with the same frequency and make a club and then practice our English. Yeah, yeah, I agree, guys.
Yeah.
All right. So, what about? Do you have any tips for a new learner? No, new learner actually. We have a lot of English learner actually already for 3 years, several years. But again, maybe they experience a time where they get stuck and so on. Do you have any tips for us to learn
Um,
English more
yeah.
advanced?
Yeah. I think the fluency in this case, I call it the term like situational fluency.
I
I don't
see.
believe that I don't believe that they are completely stuck. I know that
Yeah.
they can probably, if they're in intermediate, they can still introduce themselves in English or talking in everyday conversation. That is, I think because this is also my personal experience. I think I don't have any problem with that. But when it comes to something which is not my expertise, for example, I had to present about economical stuff or what happens to the politics nowadays.
Yeah.
It can be really really
Yeah.
difficult. But to get through this, is actually to provide ourselves with input that is more important than just what is it what is it
Input here we need to learn and to study the subject matter. For
yes.
example, just like you mentioned, when you are supposed to talk about economic means before you present it, before you speak it
Yeah.
about it, so you need to learn about the stuff, of course, right?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Because and also you need to practice also here because in this case, can I add something? You said practice makes perfect, but for me,
Yep.
practice isn't just makes perfect, but practice makes automatic.
Okay.
So by practicing, it become
Wow.
automatic.
Okay, new insight for me. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I guess I agree.
uh,
Yeah, by practicing, it's going to make us as an autopilot, right?
right.
Just like when we drive motorbike or drive a car, some at the very first time, this could be very frustrating and very hard. But when we keep practicing, sometimes, yeah, it is automatically we operate the devices, right?
Yeah,
All right. Yeah.
yeah.
Talking
It's
about fluency,
mm,
yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, this is the common problem that is faced by my students. Yep.
yeah,
sometimes when they are requested to speak English, what came into their mind, what come into their mind is that, what about the pronunciation, what about the grammar, and so on. And I, well, for me, I do not mean to say that grammar is not important. Of course, grammar is important, but for beginner, yeah, just okay. As long as what you want to communicate is understood by your recipient, by other people, just keep going on. And about fluency, yeah, by practicing, it's going to make what's that? To make automatic, more automatic, yeah. And just what I'm going to share here is what I want to share here is that, let alone speaking a foreign language, while we are speaking by using our own native language, sometimes it happen mispronunciation, slip tongue, and so on. And in daily life, we don't use that grammatically correct language, right?
Right.
So sometimes by using single word, our audience already understand. So why you are so busy thinking about grammar and pronunciation? But again, I'm not trying to say that grammar and pronunciation not important. They are still important, but don't make them as an obstacle to practice your English, to improve your English.
Yes, most
I
definitely.
guess.
Because in this case, I do agree with what you said, Fatma, anyway. Because communication, if you want to establish two-way communication, in this case, connection is really important over perfection. Because if you
Hmm.
expect for something perfect, right, it keeps hold you back from being fluent because you think twice in your head,
Okay.
and even you thinking
Okay.
about, okay, am I grammatically correct or am I grammatically incorrect, or you worry too much about making mistakes with you. But in communication, people don't actually care about your grammar. Yeah, grammar is really critical, it's really important, but
Yeah.
connection, how you connect to people, being open, being
Uh,
vulnerable, is much more
yeah.
important than just, you know,
Yes.
worrying to yourself.
Yeah. Exactly. So I think this is a gentle reminder for those who are perfectionists, right? So
Yes.
the one who don't want to start something before everything is perfectly perfect. Yeah. So this is quite a reminder for you. All right. So do you have any cultural experience by learning English? Or
uh
at least what advantages you get by learning English?
all right, probably I can be because I love reading. Nowadays, I
Oh.
I try, I use my Kindle to read a lot of books. Now I
Oh,
immerse myself in English,
you
and for
are
sure because
amazing.
I speak a foreign language like
Mm-hmm.
English here, so maybe I becomes one step further than those who could not speak the language. So that's
Yeah.
probably what, yeah, my biggest advantages from knowing. And I believe you, Fatma, you must be more
Oh
than that.
no,
Yeah.
not really. Well, for me, I guess what's that? The most visible learning English is that I feel cool. Sorry to be narcissistic. What I mean by feeling cool here is just like this. You know, in today's life, when you come into Instagram, when you come to into TikTok, we have a lot of English used by the user, right? For English learners, we do not need to learn this at all. When people say POV, when people say by the way, when people say OTW, we already know this term, right? But maybe for those who hasn't learned English, yeah, they need to find out what does it mean, right? Just like when people put something like asap, right? So English language learner already know what asap means, but to some people maybe need to learn more what asap is, alright.
Okay.
And talking about cultural experience, and of course by learning English, I can make friends with people from the other part of the world. I also can share my culture, okay, and I also can learn their culture because we use English as a means of communication. So this is broader than being narcissistic than being cool, right?
It's most definitely. That's awesome.
Okay. So what about? The first time you learn English, or now maybe, do you have any personal anecdote that make you feel, what's that, embrace, or make people, what's that, it is entertain people? Do you have certain anecdote?
Not really, but it was something silly happened to me in my
Oh
early
yeah.
period of learning English. When I was
Okay.
in senior high school, I learned a lot of vocabulary, and learning
Mm-hmm.
isolated vocabulary can be really dangerous, right? Because it doesn't have
Oh
context.
yeah. Yeah. I know.
And that happened quite often because I literally translate from my native language bahasa Indonesia to English and directly, and
Yeah.
it means really silly when it's translated to English. That is why I do not
Yeah.
recommend that you guys learn isolated words or individual words,
Okay.
but instead please
Okay.
learn phrase because phrase has context. Does that happen
Yeah.
to you anyway?
Of course, I think it doesn't only happen to us. Yeah, I believe that it's also happened to the other language, foreign language learner. But for me, the it's not silly, but maybe it's quite entertaining for others. Yeah, is that my mistakes, just like my pronunciation, and then my slip tongue can be entertaining for others.
Yes, exactly. That is why we built this channel to help you immerse yourself in English and immerse yourself in real English, especially from the non-native speakers perspective like us. So both of us are non-native English speakers, and we had gone through maybe difficult times, silly moments. That is why we're here for you. What is it? To share together. That is our motivation, right? As we wrap up today's episode of English In, hope you enjoy this amazing journey with us.